Hi, welcome back. Today I'm going to discuss what I know about braces and brace stock, most importantly, choosing it. The one thing that I do know for certain is that you want quarter sawn braces and you want possibly zero runout, but no more than an eighth of runout per the length of the brace. So if you're not familiar with the terms, I'll briefly explain what quarter sawn is and what the runout is. Piece of, I believe it's 2x8 pine. If you look at it, you can see how the circular growth rings go in the board. If this was a piece of a tree. When you have a quarter sawed lumber cut, this is pretty well, this is almost corner sawn. Well, actually this section here is. But the grain lines are perpendicular to the board, or they're going up and down. So this is width, they run up and down, and as they saw through the trees, say they cut this and then they did this cut, this grain is still running pretty straight, pretty quarter till it gets near the center, obviously, and then near this top here where it starts to angle in pretty well. I really don't know what the degree is, but when it starts to run at an angle like that, that's pretty much called rift sawed. And then as it goes out closer and closer, when they slice the tree, it gets to what they call flat sawn. Okay. Let's see if you can see that. But these grain lines are going really almost horizontally through this board. That would be like the outer rings of the tree on a bigger tree. And as you can see, I hope you can see, but the growth rings get smaller and the grain gets tighter, because obviously, because this is older growth, and it grows each year. As the tree gets bigger, it gets smaller, as opposed to this piece, where you can see how big it is between the grain, the growth rings. Sorry about that, because this is the early growth. The effects of when you look at a quarter sawn board, this part here is pretty much gets to the flat sawn. But if you look at but the grain on the quarter sawed part, the grain will run straight. That's your visual effect. The grain runs straight. Whereas on a flat sawn board, you see these you see these patterns, because you're hitting the outside part, and you're catching it. For instance, on the table here, most of these boards are pretty well flat sawn and close to the center, or rift sawn. As you can see in this board, this is pretty tight grain out here. Although it's flat sawn, if you turn the board on edge and you would cut it perpendicular, then it becomes the pieces that you cut off when you're looking at this edge become a quarter sawed piece of board. So this board, which I found at Lowe's, it's a 2x6, can be used pretty much for well, I use it for cutting brace stock from. It's spruce, and when cut, it'll be quarter sawn. Now the only question is does it have runout or not? So what is runout? The tree is growing this way, and when the boards are split, when they're hand split, they're split off the board, and it's the grain that goes vertically in this case. Now if its board's cut a little bit off, angle, then this vertical up grain will be running off at an angle. Or if there's something in the wood that causes it to wave off, or it'll be, you'll have the grain running out or run out. I'll try to explain that when I'll get into the splitting it now. Here's a piece of wood I cut into a demo brace, and as you can see, it's corner sawed. And now what I'm gonna do is split this brace to see if to check the runout on it. When you split wood or split braces, to check the runout, you'll split it across the grain there, and you'll split it from the middle. You don't want to go to the edge, or it won't split properly. You have to split it pretty much from the center with a faux, which is usually like not a sharp one like a chisel, because a chisel will actually cut, and you just want it to split it. So I have a brick chisel that I used, that I got from from Harbor Freight. So I'm going to split this right down the middle here, and then the split will follow the grain, and you'll be able to see if it's running out. The runout is. Check it. So let's do that real quick. This is a little overkill for this brace, but I just want to give you an idea. Imagine this is a bigger piece of billet. You're splitting from a billet, not just a brace. All right, let's look at that. Okay, as you can see, when I split it, it followed the grain, and it ran out real abrupt there, which is exactly what you don't want to have in your braces. Now imagine this was a brace, and you have this brace, and you're scalping it possibly, but right at this point where it runs out drastically like that, that's going to make that brace really weak, especially when you start trimming this down. Where it runs out like that, the more horizontal or zero runout there is, it's sort of like laminating boards on top of a board. If it's level and horizontal, the board's going to be stronger than if it's cutting out at an angle like that. If there's pressure put in that point, it's more apt because it's got less holding power across that space as it does the whole brace. Think of it like that, and it'll fell there if it's going to fell. So on that brace, you definitely is no good. Let's try. Well, another test is when you get the brace. Here's a brace cut from the same board. This is a trick I learned from Mario Poo on the MIMF.com forum. Was discussion we had back, and this is where I learned. This is pretty valuable stuff as far as I'm concerned.